Welcome back to Comics, the podcast where we look at two comics each week, and we're starting off with a sensational She-Hulk.
That's
Number
awful.
18. This is from 1990, and it's the first appearance of Bob Doom. That's Dr. Doom's fifth cousin, who is a dentist.
I like how they had the little possessive S really tiny.
Yeah, you would be forgiven for thinking this is a Dr. Doom feature, and maybe he has a new look. But no, it's Dr. Doom's fifth cousin.
It's crazy.
So, this is a fun issue of Sensational She-Hulk, where we're kind of on the end of a previous story arc that we're alluding to here. So we've got a football card ad. Not sure how many football card collectors are also reading She-Hulk. Maybe.
Huh?
A blood transfusion from her cousin, the Incredible Hulk, transformed petite Jennifer Walters, attorney at law, into an Emerald Amazon. Now she battles for truth, justice, and her client's personal injury claims. Stanley presents the Sensational She-Hulk.
Nice.
So she says, bliss, this is like her thought process as she's dreaming. The Encrochaverses are back in their compaction modules. So that's some other storyline that we just concluded. Howard the Duck is back in Cleveland.
Thank
so
the
we just
Lord.
missed Howard the Duck, unfortunately. Laszlo Peevely is back at the Mystic Meadows home, and the Critic is back on his planetoid. And for the first time in days, Jennifer Walters is in Dreamland. This is titled The Dentist and the Iron Mask.
Oh,
It's by Steve Gerber, the writer, and guest penciler is Tom Artis. Not artist, Artis.
artists.
It's almost like that name they give people when they don't want credit for like a movie. I forget what it is, but there's like a stock name where they don't want their real name.
Right.
Tom Artis.
Jim Sanders the third.
Yeah, the
Nice.
third inker. He's
Nice.
from a long lineage of inkers, I'm sure. So we're in Jennifer Walters' dreams here. And she's kind of having a romantic dream, which I think this is supposed to be Hercules.
Oh, yep.
They lie beneath a tropical moon. The warm wind whispers. The surf laps lightly over bodies entwined. Somewhere a lonely blowfish sighs. So they don't let too many captions go by without a weird little joke like that.
It's just a blowfish.
When she is interrupted by this giant robot. So Hercules says, "Sweatest thou not, green goddess? All the man-eating horses of Diomedes and a Jeep Cherokee could not drag the scion of Olympus from this spot.
Oh,
I am Dave, digital Autobotic Vixen Eradicator." That's the
oh
acronym.
my God.
You are She-Hulk, role model to millions of little girls. Present conduct is incompatible with designated function. You must get Daved. And he starts shooting lasers at her.
Yeah, that's a pretty small circular blade considering
The
this
drill.
Yeah.
That's interesting that he has a drill, because that's kind of like a foreshadowing for the dental drill.
Ooh, I hope my dentist doesn't use any circular saws. That's terrifying.
Wrath of Black Manta. Not Black Manta, the Aquaman villain, but some kind of ninja. I think I rented this game when I was a kid from Mr. Movies, if I remember right. It always looks so cool in the ad when you see some of the gameplay. And it's a bunch of pixels and rectangles.
Why do they have the same crates and barrels?
We got a Nickelodeon ad. That's interesting. Nickelodeon magazine, the Nick store.
Nice.
So back to our Dreamland action scene. Destruct sequence 1, buzzsaw to head interface. So he's using that tiny buzzsaw. He kind of clips her on the head, but it breaks the buzzsaw.
Ooh.
Sequence terminated. Initiating sequence 2, drill bit to belly button interface.
Oh my
I know. Isn't that
What the?
painful sounding?
Oh.
Are you quite finished daving me? She says. I hope so, because you're about to get Jennifered. And she crashes him down here. And as she returns to Hercules waiting, she sees it's someone else, Brent. The warm wind still whispers. The surf still laps gently at the sand. Somewhere, a sadistic seagull cackles. Brent? Hi, Jen. No, I want the guy with the muscles, the beard, and the stilted elocution. I want fun, not a relationship. I want OUT, Wilcox. So Brent Wilcox,
funny.
I think, is her nerdy kind of love interest in this series.
That's funny.
I like how she's raging out about that. Like we're used to the Hulk raging out about, being chased by the army or whatever.
Oh, that's funny.
So she wakes up and there's some springs uncoiling from her bed. Wonderful, I just attacked and killed a $2,000 bed. Don't look at me like that, Wheezy. I'm embarrassed enough. You needn't be, dear. I was just concerned for you. I've never heard you scream that way. You sounded like a wounded sea mammal. You couldn't hear what I screamed, could you? No, just an inarticulate wail. Good. Sometimes discussing a bad dream can make you feel a lot better, do you? No, under no circumstances. Let's have some coffee then. So they're talking about recent events, and she had slept 14 hours because of the Howard the Duck and all those other exploits they mentioned on the first page.
Wow.
In that time, Wheezy here was woken up by an answering machine call. She has a potential client for her legal practice.
Well, good.
I do remember this LGN X-Men and the Amazing Spider-Man game they're hinting at here. Both very difficult games in my memory, and not very fun ones. But I do like the brown Wolverine version. And I like Storm with the Mohawk. That's a cool version of Storm.
I like this version of
Colossus.
Colossus, too.
It's got those cool wristbands.
Yeah.
Looks a little similar to Iceman. Like he's got the lines.
Yeah.
It's like metal has lines, ice is see-through and completely smooth. That's how you know the difference. So, might as well see what this is all about, is what Jennifer says. And the answering machine message plays. Meep! Miss Walters, this is Sanford Packard. I'm a friend of Blake Tower, the district attorney. I need to file a lawsuit, dental malpractice, and Blake recommended you to eat my show. You're listening to WPUK, New York. You hairball, and this is Harold Strick sneering at you. Pardon the interruption. Please meet at 700 West 57th Street, 901 at 1 p.m., and I'll explain everything to you. Meep. So, in the middle of his message, suddenly we're getting this radio broadcast of like some kind of shock jock kind of announcer or whatever. And she spits out her coffee after hearing that. You see, I told you Mr. Tower had great regard for your ability, even if he did have to fire you. That's one possibility, yeah. Another is he didn't know where else to dump this case. One thing's for sure, a lawyer doesn't earn a living by turning down clients. Nothing to lose by meeting the guy. And we cut forward to her potential client getting some more dental work done. And the thing that they're removing from the back of his mouth, I like his purple uvula there.
I was looking at that, trying to make
weird,
sense of it.
Perspective. Like, what is that? His throat? That reddish pink? So this little chip that the other dentist is removing is saying, you listen to me, you deserve to be insulted. This is Harold Strick. Up your intellect. And She-Hulk says, that was implanted in his root canal? And this dentist says, yes, ma'am, by his previous dentist, I suppose. Don't ask me how or why. And so she's trying to get to the bottom of why would he put like a radio transceiver in somebody's tooth?
Yeah. My mom told us when we were kids about she went to the dentist and I think she had some sort of metal put in her mouth. I don't know what it was for, whether it was a partial brace or something. But they went to a parade and the bagpipes went by and she opened her mouth and they got really loud. And when she closed them, so it was like
That's
radiating
really
in her mouth.
It's like amplifying the bagpipe.
It was strange.
Oh, oops, we accidentally used a bagpipe amplifier instead of a tooth filler. Whoops. I like this dentist. It kind of looks like Wilford Brimley or something.
Yeah, he does.
So she's like, I think we got a case here. And, She-Hulk says to him, unless you asked to have an AM radio installed in your molar, I'd say so. May I spit now? Of course. Which reminds me, we'll have to discuss a retainer, and I'll need some information, starting with the name of Packard's prior dentist. Oh, yes, that would be Dr. Doom. I beg your pardon? I like that tiny little panel.
Doom with a small d.
We cut to the next day and we see the door of 1190 Dr. Bob Doom DDS, a dental corporation. Do you have an appointment, Miss Walters? No, my teeth are okay. I just need to speak with the doctor for a moment. Oh, well, he's with a patient at the moment, but if you'll have a seat, I'll see. Wait, here he comes now. Fine. It's funny how tall she is.
Yeah.
Her head's way over the size of the window.
Oh, yeah, I was noticing that when.
And here's Bob Doom himself. Doesn't look much like Victor Von Doom.
Not at all.
We'll see you again next week, Lenora. I think we can finish the work with one more visit. Thank you, Doctor. Dr. Doom? I've got a present for you from your former patient, Sanford Packard. Former? I'm his attorney. We're filing a malpractice claim. Moan.
Oh.
But this can't be. I've never... If Sanford had a problem, why didn't he just come to me? Who knows? Maybe he didn't want to find a CD player in his incisor.
Right.
Cancel all my appointments for the next week, Pinky. This matter will require my full attention.
For a week?
Right? So we cut to Empire State University, where, Peter Parker and other luminaries have been enrolled. I think Johnny Storm was briefly enrolled.
Ooh, I wonder what his major was.
I don't know. He was,
He wasn't an engineer, was he?
Oh, no. That's a good question. I remember him meeting Peter at college, but I don't, in some of the Fantastic Four, but I don't remember his major. I don't think he went to a lot of classes.
Well, no.
He was always going to other dimensions and stuff.
Yeah, he wouldn't strike me as a reliable student.
He just liked to work on his hot rods. I showed it to a friend over in the engineering department. It's not an AM radio, far from it. The AM reception was accidental. Your client must have bitten down too hard and damaged the microcircuitry. It's meant to receive an ultra-high frequency digital signal and transmit it directly to the nervous system of the recipient. What on earth for? Hard to say. Post-hypnotic suggestion? By uplink? Theoretically, that kind of stimulation could affect the chemistry of the brain, induce or inhibit certain behaviors. Possibly, yes. This must be the guy from her opening dream.
Her dream, yeah.
Brent, you've been an enormous help. I can't thank you enough. Sure you can. Let me take you to dinner this evening. Working, sorry, but you get points for persistence. Maybe another time, she thinks.
Oh, she knows no. Oh, that's why he needed a week. He needed to make some armor.
Yeah, so Bob Doom lives in Blue Boar, Connecticut, and he's B Doom is on his mailbox, number 652. My plan to achieve fame, wealth, and power through dental surgery has been placed in dire jeopardy. My career is ruined. My life is ruined. I'll never be anything but your dorky, laughable fifth cousin. It's not my fault my grandparents emigrated to America while yours were still hawking love potions and telling fortunes with marked tarot cards. Who figured you would become royalty? He has like an armor of Dr. Doom that he's set up in this throne. Where does he get something like that?
Yeah.
Costume
Comic-Con.
shop, I guess. Yeah, I guess at this point, Dr. Doom is a known public figure, so they probably have costume shop versions.
Hand-me-downs.
Yeah. Now I'm cursed with your name. I dwell in your shadow with my fingers in people's mouths all day. I can't stand it anymore. Really, I can't. I've got stocks, bonds, 2 BMWs, a gold Rolex, a practice any tooth guy would envy, and next to you, I'm still a failure. How can I possibly take pride in belonging to the country club when you have an entire country? Well, I want one too. Out of respect for my heritage and because I didn't wish to embarrass my oh-so-famous relative, I proceeded slowly, cautiously with my plan. Too cautiously, I realize now. Sooner or later, a patient's bite was bound to exceed the PSI spec of my neurotransceiver. Very well then, the mold is cast. Rather than permit myself to be dragged through the courts in disgrace, I shall launch a preemptive strike. I like that a mold is cast, like a dental mold.
Oh, nice.
I feel like Dr. Doom is like the die is cast or whatever. He's the dental version. We've got this weird ad for Bonk's Adventure. A long, long time ago, later than you think and sooner than you know, there was a strange and terrible kingdom. Help, Bonk, save me. These trees are saying, wow, that's really using your head as Bonk headbutts, gets a running start and headbutts this brick wall. Whoa, I wasn't counting on you showing up. In charge. I think
Is that a steak?
this panel goes this way. I think I'm going the wrong way. So really, the tree says, I wouldn't want to be in King Drool's shoes once Bonk bonks his way to him. Bonk bonks his way. It's a noun and a verb. Bonk, ha! That crude cave boy will never make his way here. I've seen to it. You're mine, princess. You must be joking. Nothing can stop Bonk. Are they dinosaurs or what?
Yeah.
I guess if he's a caveman, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, she almost looks like a squid monster too, in a way.
Bonk says, she's not talking through her crown either. Bricks and stones may break my bones, but not when I bonk him with my head. And then he bonks through the wall. Well, I wasn't counting on you showing up. I'm counting the pay King Drool gave me to stop you. I'm working for him now. Bonk over here, the flower says. Roar. I don't have enough power yet for a head-on collision with you, but I will when I pick up this flower. Very Mario-esque.
I know, and she's warning him he's going to pick the flower.
Yeah, she's got to sacrifice herself for the greater good. He launches out of the flower, in fact, with a bite out of a pear and a banana, and
a steak.
he hasn't touched the steak. Charge up with meat and other good things and go nuclear. It's like some kind of weird lawnmower or something.
Yeah.
Yike! The terrible T-Raptor head. Tractor head? T-Raptor head. It's one thing after another in this place. To bonk him, I'll need another flower for twice the power. Oops, a Venus bonk trap. I'm stuck. I'm doomed unless you save Bonk so he can rescue me in the all-new TurboGrafx X16 Bonk's Adventure. So I think it's a video game?
It would have to be. TurboGrafx and Bonk's Adventure are trademarks of NEC Technologies, Inc. 1990. Okay. I've never heard of it.
You know, I can't say I'm not excited to play it. There's a reason we've never heard of Bonk 35 years later. You have castles, cousin. You have robots and death rays and vehicles to transport you over land and sea, space and time. But even you don't have a command center based upon the advanced ergonomic design of the modern dental unit. Nor can you imagine what wealthy patients are willing to do or say or sign under the influence of the proper anesthetic.
Oh, aha.
Soon enough, though, all the world will see that the depth of my cunning matches the scope of my ambition, and then some. Preparing to transmit, mechanism engaged, neurotronic device,
That's
now at
how it
full
works.
extension. Yeah, he's got this weird turkey baster looking thing. Targeting robot canals 13A. Root canals, 13A, 17B, and 46R. Instruction, dress oddly, go out in the street and act aberrantly. Transmit. So root canal 13A is hanging out of his window with some kind of sheet tied to his ankles,
Whoa.
saying bibble bibble past the pony. And then we've got root canal 17B who has a bucket on his head and a rolling pin that's conking on it. He's saying, where is hope when you need it? Why do hog futures rise? And then root canal 46R, this is the woman we saw earlier in the scene. She's singing some Elvis off of my blue suede shoes as she's dancing on top of a taxi.
Wow.
Some kind of like radio transmitter on her head or something. There's something on top of her head. Weather vane or something.
That's bizarre. So that's what he wants to do. He wants to control the rich people.
Mind control. Well, Dr. Doom, Victor Von Doom does a lot of mind control. So it runs in the family, yeah. A few days later, so we're in a courtroom here, and this lawyer says, as you'll see, Your Honor, Loudon and Faber and Mrs. Standard all had appointed my client, Dr. Bob Doom, as their trustee. In view of their incompetence to manage their own affairs, we ask that Dr. Doom be named conservator of their estates, and he grants it. So now he's made $53 million off of their collected wealth.
Dang.
And the following day, Bob Doom goes to settle with Mr. Packard, who had initiated this whole thing. He says, $1 million, but we only sued for half that. I'll save the difference in malpractice insurance premiums, Mr. Packard, believe me. All I ask is that you sign this non-disclosure agreement, which says you won't discuss the case or the settlement with anyone but your attorney. Seems fair enough. I'm glad you feel that way. The implant was an accident, you know. I picked up the device thinking it was a soluble capsule of filling material. Fortunately, no real harm was done. No, I guess not. And Jennifer is, of course, mad. You did what? I'm your lawyer, Mr. Packard. You're supposed to consult me before. He came to you personally. How much? Oh, you realize I'm still entitled to my percent? Sure, a cashier's check will be fine. Right, bye.
Wow.
You can seal that file, Wheezy. Goodness. The client settled the case himself for twice the amount of the suit. That's more than $300,000 for you. We should go out and celebrate. And then start shopping for office space, and then, what's wrong, dear? It doesn't wash. Where did Doom come up with that kind of money so quickly? Why was he so eager to settle? You're looking all the way down the gift horse's throat, dear. The dentist knew he was in the wrong, that's all, and he approached your client because he knew you'd drive a harder bargain. These things happen. Yeah, I guess, but I can't quite believe anyone named Dr. Doom gets beaten this easily.
Good. Okay, so she
could just take her, $250,000, a third of $1,000,000 and be happy, but she knows there's something up.
Wouldn't you? I mean, look at that face.
Yeah, with a haircut and a mustache like that, he's up to no good.
And eyebrows, those eyebrows.
The eyebrows, too. So later that night in Blue Boar, we see that he, Dr. Doom, that is, Dr. Bob Doom, has the three incompetent people in his garage, and they're just like eating mush and mumbling. No hope, Bibble, Swade.
Wow.
I'd just like to thank each of you again for signing those trustee agreements. I want you to enjoy your new home here in the garage. I promise you a wonderful life, the best that gypsy sorcery and American dentistry can provide. With your fortunes as seed money, I shall make myself master of the tri-state area. From the region known as New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, I shall forge my kingdom of New Latveria as the real Dr. Doom.
Even if he could do that, the real Dr. Doom would be right there to just knock him down, you know?
Yeah, he doesn't want any imitators.
No.
Doom suffers no fools. New York 1 month later. Dentist's $53 million conservatorship upheld. Jennifer, look at this. The estimates of financier Max Loudon, retailer Maurice Faber, plumbing heiress Lenora Standard, agreements upheld by the appellate division. This is incredible. The families tried to challenge the ruling and lost.
Oh.
What did I tell you? When we get back home, let's phone the relatives. I'd love to know if Max, Maurice, and Lenora all had root canals. So the following day, a court order to produce Max, Maurice, and Lenora for dental x-rays. But why? I'll be there to pick them up in 10 minutes. Click. His voice jumped at least 3 octaves. We got this little red arrow. Because I went this way at first with the panels left to right, but it goes down and then to the top. His voice jumped at least 3 octaves. So I guess I was supposed to read that. A court order to produce. His voice jumped at least 3 octaves. I think we've got a malpractice claim of the century here and probably a grand larceny charge. I'm off to Connecticut. 10 minutes later, she pulls up in her green Dodge. Oh, Dr. Doom, it's Jennifer Walters, and I hope you've got the good sense to be, and some very Doom-like arms reach through the door.
Scrunch. That's crazy.
I like the pale green of her car. Of course, she's got to have a green car.
Well, I mean, if she had purple sidewalls, that'd be pushing it.
Yeah, I like how they integrate the purple into her character design because he's got, Hulk's got the purple pants. She's got like the purple athletic wear.
What the heck?
So, and I used to love seeing these ads in comics growing up because this is the era. I got this after the fact, but 1990, 1995, that was like my prime of comics. And you used to see all these lists of $1 for Fantastic Four, $3.44 and $3.45. Today, that would be quite a bargain,
Oh, yeah.
I'd love to get 2 comics for $1. Crunch! So she gets pulled through, and it's actually like a dental light on a Dr. Doom robot body. By all means, come in, Miss Walters. Clever little device, isn't it? Uses cold fusion to generate a charge of, half a gigawatt or so. More than enough to immobilize you, I'm sure. You see, Miss Walters, you poked your nose into my business twice too often, so I'm going to poke my finger into your mouth. And he's got this weird tooth-themed
disgusting.
costume with a Doctor Doom-esque mask.
Oh, Dr. Doom wouldn't put up with that hair.
No, it's much too wild of a costume design for Doctor Doom.
What the?
Right? So, he says, where my adamantium-tipped drill attachment will carve out a little niche for your own neurotronic transceiver. I like that you can see the straps of the Doom mask on him. Open wide, so he tries to drill her tooth to mind control her, and she bites down on the adamantium and bends the drill tip. That's bad news for Wolverine.
That's really
she
bad
can bite
news.
through adamantium or bend it.
Hulk too.
Yeah. Come on, legs, one abdominal crunch. You're moving. Whatever for? What do you hope to accomplish? Kick your teeth out. So she kicks the giant toothy thing on his chest, but it bites down on her.
Ugh.
Oh, I see you assumed my armor was purely ornamental. Not so. It would have been wiser to cooperate. Now you have to bite the big one. We have several options available. My adamantium dentures can gnaw your feet off. My surrogate's hands can throttle you. Or I can turn up the juice and you'll fry. Any preference? She says, yes, none of the above, as she bends the gauntlets of that robotic arm and kicks her way out.
Is she like the Hulk in that the madder she gets, the stronger she gets?
Oh, yeah, of course. Or the darker it gets. The early Hulk, you know, the nighter it gets, the more Hulk he gets.
Do you remember that
I know.
movie?
I think we watched it
once
together once time. It was on TV. It was scary. Arachnophobia.
Oh, it was
8 legs, 2 fangs, and an attitude.
So scary.
I know.
I have not been able to watch that again.
Have you ever seen? There was a newer one. Is it like 8-legged creeps or something like that? Or freaks?
8-legged freaks. No.
Yeah, that was also kind of scary too.
No, I can't do it.
So we're on to our final page of this thrilling battle here. The first appearance of Bob Doom. Now look what you've gone and done. Narrowed your choices down to the single most painful. You're powerful, but sorely lacking in strategic skills. Well, we all have our shortcomings, don't we? I probably have come to rely too much on brute force, whereas your fixation is entirely oral.
You know
Chew
what?
on that while I find your 3 wards.
She has a nice Spider-Man humor.
Yeah, you know, Hulk doesn't have a lot of wisecracks.
No.
It's a lot of Hulk smash.
That's why.
Hulk no use articles in his speech. And then New York 1 week later, it's official. Doom's behind bars and his conservatorship has been nullified. Your money and your minds are yours again. We're all very grateful, Miss Walters, and we'd like to retain your services to handle the civil action against Doom. Also, if you could recommend a good dentist. Yeah. So a little rushed in the ending, if you ask me, of the battle. She just kind of somersaults him over into the wall. And I thought it was hilarious. Her mail page is called She-Mail. Maybe not the most the term we would. It's funny though with She-Hulk, She-Mail. That's kind of funny. And we got some AD&D ads here for Greyhawk Adventures.
Oh, nice.
Monsters Compendium. A lot of white space on these covers. You think they would design like a background setting? I don't know. Maybe it's just a prototype or something.
Yeah, because I don't remember them looking like that.
I wanted a subscription to comics so bad growing up, and you're like, they'll get bent in the mail.
They did.
And our mailbox used to get hit by the snowplow and all sorts, so it makes sense. But man, if I could wake up in the morning, run up to the mailbox and get a Spider-Man out of there, it was $9 for 12 issues. You couldn't spare $9 for your loving son.
You would have been so sad to go up there and have it torn up and.
Doesn't this? I've seen this Contra ad, it's Contra, I think, in a previous issue that we've done. Doesn't that look like Joe Rogan?
Ooh, yes, it does.
Isn't that weird? I don't think he.
Well, he
looked
believes
like that
in
in
aliens
1990.
and master military
That's one of his
minds.
next guests. He's going to tell us all why we need to dismantle Social Security. I trust him.
Totally looks legit. Yeah.
So we've got, actually this is a good pairing. We've got another Amazonian sort of figure here.
Absolutely.
Maybe a little
The
less
original.
tongue-in-cheek though.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman 303. A nice yellow cover.
A nice yellow color. Yeah, cover. She's
And we get
in
a beast.
action here, and
I do like when she deflects bullets with her.
oh, that's one of the best
They
things.
got to stop shooting at her wrists.
Right?
And we get a Huntress B story.
And a
that'll be
Huntress
good.
B story. Yep.
Interesting to have her. She's like standing on her own
On her
shoulder.
own shoulder. Yeah. It's
And this is from 1983, so 7 years before She-Hulk.
4 years before you were born.
Mm-hmm.
So we have an opening. North
So you
Star.
were what, 20 when this came out?
Yeah. So I was in college. My mom got it. Well, yeah, my sister was in college too. So, yeah, my mom got it on her own. But it opens up with this plane, U.S. Air Force. North Star Control, this is North Star 1. Smooth sailing so far, Colonel Trevor. The readings are right in line with my eyeball estimates. That's the way it checks out down here too, Clayton. Radar confirms the data that North Star is providing. Bring her in, and we'll... Hold on, Colonel. I'm getting something odd on the scope. It's... What the? Controls are gumming up. It's like they're fighting me. I like how he's like, oh yeah, it confirms, just like my eyeballs. Tell me.
It's interesting to have a cover like this because it's iconic, and like if you like the character, you're like, yeah, it's a cool pose and everything. But I'm never sure about covers that don't tell you anything about what the plot is going to be, or the antagonist that month, or like sometimes it's nice to, if you're trying to sell these on the newsstand, don't you think you want to give people like a little taste of what?
Right.
I don't know. I guess we've been reading that Absolute Wonder Woman, the new one coming out, and a lot of the covers don't tell you anything about what's going to happen. They're just cool looking. So,
yeah.
Two schools of thought on the cover.
Yeah.
I wonder if you could look at the sales figure over time of plots that depict something to do with the plot,
versus
or covers that do, and then covers that depict just like a general image.
Just a cool.
And see
Because
how
I'm
they stack
completely
up.
drawn by covers, graphic design on labels, and I can't tell you how many bottles of wine I bought because of that label, and it's like, ooh, this is like nasty.
Yeah, guitar pedals can be that way too, of like they just look cool. It's like, oh, it's just the same thing as that other one. Same circuit or something.
Yeah. So anyway, he goes,
Can't budge them. Great thunder, what is that in the sky?
Clayton, get out of there. Do you hear me? Tony,
Eject.
Mother of God.
Ooh, he blows up.
Yeah, so they lose
Bloom.
their friends in the
Not
plane.
Bloom.
Blue. And at first, when I opened those pages, I thought, oh, did they react that way to Wonder Woman? It
almost looks like she came barreling through that jet and blew it up.
Right, like, yeah. So it was a little misleading. So that happened. And then we cut to the Amazing Amazon. The Amazing Amazon is unaware of the grim event that has blackened the blue Virginia sky not far away. And so her pleasure is undimmed as she streaks through the air aboard her spectacular robot plane.
It's interesting that Wonder Woman's a fantasy book, but it takes a lot of the iconography of the war books, like this is a panel easily could be in Sergeant Rock or Weird War, or whatever, Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos or whatever. It's a weird mashup, military fantasy. It's got the Greek fantasy pantheon kind of thing mashed up with American military in the mid 20th century.
And has anybody ever answered that question? If she's in her plane, is she invisible as well?
No, she's
or
awkwardly
do you just
sitting
see
there.
a butt with legs flying over you?
That's what I think.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's the way to try to cross-pollinate the audience and get more boys to buy this, is to have all the war imagery.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Not that you have to be a girl to like this, but it's stereotypically it's probably
very
going
true
for a certain audience.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. And so
give the boys something, blow something up, and have a jet go do something.
Although this is a great page. This is
that's
her
a cool transition.
Explaining how she's coming back into the office after having some time off, and reflecting on things, and then it shows her like jumping off of her plane down to the ground, changing in midair with her lasso
How's it
whipping
gonna
around.
land?
I
Does
know.
it land itself? It's automatic.
Oh yeah, because she can call it, and then it shows her landing out here
Oh wow.
in the forest, which is crazy. You know, if you think about it, I've got friends here who trust and care about me, and they deserve better than the fleeting attention of a superhero who's more concerned with stopping the next villain or diffusing the next crisis. So on her time off, she was realizing that, you know, she was going to put more energy into her job and her friendships and not just be, you know, the next hero for hire. So it says, and shortly, and I think this is a typo, and messages for me, Lieutenant? What's that? Di, you're back. So they hug.
Oh, it should say any messages, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. And don't worry, General. I know you'll find out what went wrong with the test. You'd better, Trevor. There's a lot riding on this. I'm going out to check the records now, sir. And then, Steve. Oh, Di, I didn't see you there. Sorry. It's been a bad day. Griggs will fill you in before I get back. And listen, I know you had something important you wanted to discuss with me, but I'd appreciate it if you could hold on. Okay? She's like, sure, Steve. That's just as well. Anyway, I want to wait for the right time to tell him. After all, it's going to change both our lives. And so she's introduced to this new pilot who's got a mustache and thinks he's very...
he holds his jacket like that.
Yes,
That's kind
thinks
of a
he's...
cocky way to hold the jacket.
He's like, Keith Griggs, Major USAF. Do you want my serial number, or will it be enough to know that I'm one of those handsome flyboys you're always reading about? I love her.
It's a kind of an awkward drawing of Diana.
Yes.
Made her forehead a little too long.
Her teeth a little too. Where'd he come from, Etta? Apparently the general handpicked him to join the special unit. His service record is outstanding, and he certainly seems to have taken a shine to you. That look is pretty funny. So sometime later at the
She's like
command
eating marshmallows
center.
Or something.
I know,
She's
that's
got
what I was.
Cheeks full of candy.
Sometime later at the command center for Project North Star. The only way to decree it die is a total breakthrough in navigation. This room and all craft in the system are linked to satellites which track the Earth's magnetic field. Are you getting any hints?
I think the title was The Magnetic Menace, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe that's why it wasn't on the cover. They're like, won't care about magnetism.
As a pilot, you could immediately plot your position and course on a sort of magnetic map, much as migrating birds navigate their flight paths. Exactly. But today, something terribly wrong, and our job is to find out what that something was. Another typo. And since I won't risk another pilot's life to do that, I'll be flying a North Star equipped jet. Hold on, Colonel. I've flown the simulator too. And it might be wiser to have two planes in the air in case there's trouble. You may be right, Griggs. Okay, we'll both go up. I'm sure Major Prince can handle the ground control solo. That's a weird drawing of her too. Looks like a guy. Who's that guy?
I know, they kind of purposely make her look a little frumpy in her alter ego.
So they can do that spin. And so they go up in the air. Steve, you're at about the place where he started to have trouble. Are you noticing anything unusual? No, everything's still A-okay. What about over your way, Griggs? Nothing, Colonel. Wait a second. Holy cow.
Nothing good's going to happen when they make you fly the -4. What plane are you flying? The 747? The -4. Uh-oh. Ew. He's not coming back.
Holy cow, this has got to be what Clayton saw. It's some kind of gigantic apparition, and it's shaped like a man. Oh, my!
Pretty cool. It almost looks like Dormammu in a different color scheme or something.
Yeah, it'd be totally psychedelic if it was Dormammu.
Yeah.
And so Diana, say again, Major? I'm losing your transmission. Major Griggs, Colonel Trevor, there's something out there, Di, or someone. It's undergoing a bizarre transformation. He seems to be radiating magnetic energy that's playing havoc with our controls. We're being drawn toward him. Clayton was trying to fight the force break free from the magnetic attraction, and the strain must have pulled his plane apart. Griggs, listen to me. We've only got one chance.
And now he's starting to look more like a
Guy.
Power Ranger villain or something. A little weird. He's got the little magnetic logo. I like how that is a U, and then he's got the U shape on his head.
On his head,
though.
yeah, that's
cool. Almost Galactus looking with that headpiece.
Yeah. And so they decide to, instead of fighting the Force, to fly into the Force as fast as they can. And Diana's like, oh, I got to change. This is it. So this is completely crazy, this drawing. Leaves her little...
Yeah, why can you see the bottom of her skirt, but then the top of her leg? Like, where's the skirt going?
Yeah, it's bizarre. And robot plane, come to me at once. And at that moment, I sure hope you heard me, Griggs. Because if we're going to do anything to save our hides, it's got to be now. And so both planes go at him. And then, Steve, are you... She comes in.
He's surfing on her jet.
She jumps over to his jet. Thank her, he's all right. Now to deal with the one responsible for... Suddenly... Magnetic force has taken hold of Steve's jet again, shaking me off. I'd better slide clear and pray Steve can take the buffering. And while I tackle the problem at its source.
Ah, Dr. Polaris, that's ringing a bell. I think I do remember him now.
There's our apparition. It's Green Lantern's old foe, Dr. Polaris. The last I heard, he'd turned himself into pure force by overabsorbing magnetic energy. He was trapped as part of the Earth's magnetic field.
That was in Green Lantern 135, thanks to Mars.
Ah, he must have reintegrated himself by locking into Project North Star's magnetic tracking system. That means I might be able to end matters quickly if I can just whomp.
Just gotta whomp him.
Just whomp him. Make my make my first punch count. Tagged him, but not as squarely as I'd planned. He moved at the last second. You nearly had me, Wonder Woman, but I sensed the disruption in the magnetic field around me just in time. He's intense.
Gotta say I prefer Magneto.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good drawing.
So he takes the wreckage of the plane that went down and wraps it around her, forms the cage, and starts closing in on her. And she says, I suppose you don't care that in the process of getting free, you killed a man with your magnetism. In fact, I'm sure he doesn't, but I want to keep him occupied. Or she's thinking, in fact, I'm sure he doesn't, but I want to keep him occupied. And she looks pretty sad. Her plane's still out there waiting.
Oh, she's summoning her robot plane.
Uh-huh. And she's going to summon it to buzz him and break his concentration. But before the invisible aircraft can reach its target, the jet piloted by Steve Trevor streaks toward the master of magnetism.
I hope those jets aren't made of anything magnetic.
Really? And although Dr. Polaris evades the lightning-fast attack, Steve's ploy still meets with success. The party's over, Polaris. Wonder Woman? You're quite resourceful, Amazon, taking advantage of my distraction to get loose. But nothing can stop my power, as your friends have already discovered. The two pilots fight their controls in vain, painfully aware that they are losing the struggle of their lives, and sure in the knowledge that death looms only seconds away. Need we add, to be continued?
Oh, that went by quickly. That's why we got the B story, huh?
Mm-hmm. And speaking of girl heroes, we have Amethyst.
You know, I saw a more recent version of Amethyst. I think they did a reboot at some point.
Really?
It might be worth checking out the new version to see if you like it.
I loved it when I was a kid. That was, well, I don't know how, I might have been a teenager, but it was a really good, comic.
I remember, I think we did the last issue.
We did.
On the podcast. It'd be nice to go back to the beginning. We've got several of them. Got a lot of them.
So we have the Huntress.
If I remember correctly, in this era of DC, the Huntress was in a different reality where, like, I think there was no Batman or something like that, or...
Because she is in a Gotham, so...
I think her parents are killed by mobsters, or her dad was a mobster, or something like that.
She's a relentless crusader for justice, and she's the sharpest detective mind deductive mind on her world. She's the huntress. She also lives less flamboyantly as Helena Wayne.
Okay, so she is a relative of Bruce.
Liaison to the office of Gotham District Attorney Harry Sims. It is in that office where we begin our story. Here, read all about it. Between the papers and Nedra
Borrowers.
The borrowers. That's slightly biased TV reports. There isn't
It's
anyone.
a realistic name, Nedra Borrower.
Yeah, it's not.
I've never met a Nedra before. Is that the female version of Ned?
I
like
know.
Ned Flanders?
I
Nedra.
thought he was talking about like the society, what is it, the Hydra, or something like that.
Nedra.
Nedra
You've heard of Hydra. This is
Nedra. And the biased TV report. There isn't anyone in this town who doesn't think you killed Pat Penning while trying to arrest him. Your career as a vigilante is over. She's got her fist.
Well, he knows she's the huntress, I guess.
Yeah. He goes, if you're trying to say I told you so, Harry, just say it and shut up. I like her. She's got some bite to her that, Batman sometimes doesn't, in a way, in some of the books. But,
he's always so even-tempered.
Yeah.
And jolly Batman. That's what I think of when I think Batman is a nice, goofy, affable, smiling.
Yeah.
No, I'm just joking.
Well, when he's called into a job, he's like, oh, I got to go to my tailor, or, my shirt for the ball.
You mean in his Bruce Wayne?
Yeah,
Bruce Wayne. Yeah, she. No wonder he knows that she's huntress. She's just being the huntress all the time.
She's bashing on the table. Honey, I know you couldn't have killed him, but everyone else thinks. I couldn't care less what everyone else thinks. What bothers me is you're starting to sound like everyone else. If they ever hold an Olympic event for jumping to conclusions, you've got yourself a gold medal. Multiply you by 10,000 and you've got the general public. I can't make sense of this case, but everyone else has all the answers. Take Pat Penning himself. He hit 6 banks in a row. You'd think such a career criminal would be made of sterner stuff.
Pat Pending?
Pat Pending. But he meets the total opposition, a little roughhousing. But he meets a little opposition, a little roughhousing, and next they're laying him out at the Willow Funeral Home. Pat Pending, before him, the mechanic. Ha. That seems to be where they all end up when they tangle with you. The mechanic? You didn't tell me the mechanic died. What's to tell? You brought him in, he got out on bail, and he suffered a fatal heart attack 2 days later. Case closed. So what's going on is that all these guys that she's arrested or brought in for justice, they get out and then they die.
Somebody's setting her up, huh?
Mm-hmm. And so we cut. She's like, well, what funeral home have they've been sent to? And you were right, Undertaker. Dying was just like going to sleep. That was just a little innovation of Dr. Tarr's, Pat, a capsule with a drug that simulates death. Work like a charm, Undertaker. And since you got the doc to sign my death certificate, the whole city thinks I'm dead and thinks the huntress is responsible. And next, we arrange for your safe passage to a country without an extradition treaty. If necessary, we'll use the coffin with a life support system, oxygen, ventilation, and a one-way plexiglass top you could see out of. Couldn't look better if I built it myself. I'm glad you feel that way, Pat. As you can see, we've gone to quite an expense on your behalf. We'll require 50% of the take you've made on your bank job. 50? You said 10. But that was before the huntress entered the picture. She adds to the risk, which adds to the price. So which is it, Pat? 50% or the clutches of the huntress? Will you take a check? He kind of looks like what's his name from Breaking Bad there?
Bryan Cranston?
Yeah. I've checked Harry's news clippings, files. No less than 8 career criminals in the past year have made this place their last stop on the way to their eternal reward, or lack of same. It seems the dear departed hasn't departed yet, so she's spying. I'll hook up my miniature camera and tape recorder. I'm sure my favorite DA will want to hear this dead man speak. If not, I can always sell it to That's Incredible. So these guys enter. There you are. Are we ready to go? I was getting worried. Worried? There's no reason for that. You're in the best of hands. If you're nervous, or Dr. Tar here can give you a mild sedative. I guess I could use something to calm down. Fine, doctor. This will only hurt a bit. And then you won't feel a thing.
Probably should have sat down first.
You think? But actually, doctor, it's hardly necessary to use quite so much poison.
Uh-oh.
After all, we have a high overhead. We can afford that overhead now since we can take 100% of our clients' money. Your overhead just became higher. I intend to exact a steep price from all of you. And then, yeah, they have the
She
big...
says all that while shards of glass are flying everywhere.
Right? None of them cutting her. But then this big guy is like, who is that? That's the huntress, Milo. The bad lady I told you about, remember? Why do bad men always use, like the Lenny Mycenae, the
Yeah,
big
he's
dumb
talking to
character?
him like he's a simpleton.
Yeah, I toyed with Pending that night at the bank. You can believe I won't be as sporting with you. Pending was a featherweight, born to be exploited. You'll find me a more formidable opponent. Much more. He prints out this knife. Much more.
Uh-oh.
I love that action shot.
Kicks him right out of his
high
thing.
kicks him. You'll need more than that to keep me away. So here, take it all. Milo, yes? You want to grab any more tools of the trade? Hold me off with a hypo? And she's just tearing
he just gives her
apart
the
the
double
room.
fist.
Oh,
Right on the head.
That's rough. She goes off to Dr. Strangeland.
Her eyes in that panel.
This is terrifying. Totally James Bond stuff.
We did a Spider-Man with the Vulture where the Vulture's got him on a conveyor belt going into a crematorium.
That's right. Welcome back to the land of the living, dear, even though you won't be staying long. You see, this is my private crematorium located beneath my funeral home. It's useful for disposing of all sorts of evidence. In fact, Pat Pending preceded you in the furnace. Soon you'll join him here in the flames and in the hereafter. When she's finished in the flames, can I pound her bones to dust? Next
Got some
issue.
kind of weird speech impediment.
Last rites. I know. It's like, that's iffy.
Kind of a tired trope.
Exactly. But, that whomp on the head, it's like, you can feel that,
Yeah.
That's relatable.
Whomps her so hard her eyes go away. It's just skin.
Oh!
That's just how her eyes look now that she got whomped on the head.
I'll never go back. Never close. Yeah, it's interesting. I like her. I think, she fights very straightforward like Bruce Wayne, but
A lot of times I associate her with a crossbow. Like I think that's her signature weapon. Or maybe that's the more modern versions of Huntress, but I like her. That wasn't the best showing, I don't think, of her.
No.
She's often a B story person in this era of comics. I think in the 90s onward they start making her more of a standalone, because I know she becomes kind of a part of the mainstream Bat family.
Right.
And then she does the Birds of Prey thing.
The Birds of Prey, right.
So,
That would be interesting to find a book of Birds of Prey.
Yeah, I don't think we have any, but I'm sure
No,
we could pick some up.
I don't think we do either.
Yeah, we got 2 Amazonian Thor sort of themed comics from the big 2 publishers, She-Hulk, DC, Wonder Woman.
And we've got
Marvel.
villains that hearken to other heroes in different books.
That's true, yeah. We usually don't think of Doctor Doom as a She-Hulk villain, and Dr. Polaris, more known as a Green Lantern villain.
So interesting.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching this, and if you do want to, give us a like and a subscribe, and thanks for dropping in.